I can make a knife, right? And the doctor used to treat the people, and then the other people is just butchers used to kill it, you know. So it just depends on like what you do it with. With thorium, you can make it the great energy. It's just like that, the technology that is improving, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And
But see, the problem is exactly what you just said. The problem it's always people, right?
always.
Because if you look back to World War II in history,
Which we did not join.
right, but you look at how at that time it was Nazi Germany that was rushing to develop an atomic weapon.
Yes.
And the United States, therefore, was rushing to develop an atomic weapon because everybody knew about uranium and everybody understood it could have an energy application too. But the energy application would never have been developed if everybody wasn't looking for a weapon. This is the problem. The same thing's true for thorium. Like, we know that we can use it in medicine. We know that we could use it for energy. But the problem is it would also be a much, much more destructive weapon than uranium is.
Because what I
And that's
heard,
why it's so heavily controlled.
because if you make the chip, what I heard before, if you make the chip with the thorium, it can run for 50 years or 50,000, or I can't remember. It was a ridiculous number. It's
Sure.
just so crazy. And then
It's like all radioactive materials. It has such a long half-life. There's so-called
Half-life, yeah,
half-lives.
half-life.
They're measured in 100,000 years plus. But all that refers to is how long it remains dangerous. So, in other words, it's irradiating all that time.
yes.
So imagine that you have your cell phone in your breast pocket, and instead of the current semiconductor chips that are in it, they're thorium semiconductor chips.
Yes.
For
Does it
100,000 years, that
Yes.
thorium is irradiating, which means you pretty quickly get some kind of cancer from carrying your cell phone around in your breast pocket every day. You get lung cancer or you get throat cancer. This is the problem when we talk about using a highly radioactive material for commercial purposes, because we don't know how to contain it. Look at how large uranium plants are, right?
Yes.
Most of that size isn't the actual reactor,
Yeah, just
it's the
hold it.
containment mechanism to make sure that it's not irradiating.
Yes.
So that's where the problem becomes when we start to talk about something like thorium as an energy source, because trying to make it small and trying to be able to use it in everyday materials, even cars, it's theoretically possible up to the point of how do we contain that irradiation? Because right now, the only way we know how to do it is with these large mechanisms of concrete and lead. And that's what these power plants are composed of. Immense thick shields of concrete with lead panels embedded in them. The lead is there to capture any material that manages to get through the concrete. That's where the difficulty is. We're not at that technological stage yet where we know how to capture the irradiation when it's small. That's the problem. And that's why all of those materials remain so heavily controlled, because right now they can only be used as weapons or in giant power plants.
And what would happen if the thorium has become more like widely used and even the daily life, and then we know that Turkey is the main base? What would happen to Turkey?
Of course, you'd be rich. Richer. Rich like Turkey used to be in the days of the Silk Road and the Sultanates. Rich like that.